I first pictured us hunting, I pictured like top level stuff where you're like, you're bow hunting large deer. Right? Because we didn't have success with some of those bigger animals yet, it made me open my mind up to smaller game and two things that I wouldn't have even considered hunting and eating before. But that's way more, it's more in line with us. It's way more in line with like, could we survive hunting things? It just made us more well-rounded, I think. So last fall when we were on our whitetail bow hunt, that did not end successfully. We did meet up though with my friend Andrew Hatlevig out in Wisconsin, who hunts all kinds of things, and he offered to take us out squirrel hunting, which was like kind of a nice conciliatory prize so that we didn't leave completely empty-handed from the state of Wisconsin. I do have a small game tag here.
Over here?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But I only have the bow. I don't own a rifle right now.
Oh.
So we'll have to get a rifle at some
Hey,
point.
well, Thursday, if I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, done.
We could go squirrel hunting. If you're here.
I'd like that. It'd be fun.
Yeah. My favorite type of hunting is small game hunting. I'm very stir crazy. I guess you can probably see me fidgeting here, but it's hard for me to sit just perfectly still in the woods for hours at a time. So small game hunting, you can kind of just walk through the woods.
Right.
And if you see a critter, squirrels or rabbits are usually what I'm hunting. You can shoot it.
The way we're gonna find them is they're gonna move. They're gonna run.
Right.
And you'll hear them up in the trees, like branches moving or leaves. And then it's kind of like, all right, go for it.
And then it's like kind of like a game to try to get around the tree so you can shoot the squirrel.
So you just walk around similar to pheasant hunting. When you see that squirrel,
yeah,
line up a shot.
Yeah, try to get the squirrel before it goes into a hole in a tree or in its nest.
Something's in that. What kind of tree is that? Spruce? Here, I'm gonna get around the backside here. Okay. Something's going up the tree.
And then usually the squirrels are following you around the tree, so they'll like be on the opposite side of the tree. So you gotta like peek around and get around.
Here, I'm gonna get around here.
So the first squirrel I think that we found when we were out walking around was not our best squirrel of the day, because we both took shots and missed, and I hit like low on a leg or something like that.
Yeah, I see him. Yeah. Still see him?
Yeah, he's right here.
Ah, shit.
It came down from the tree. We're both trying to get to it, and it, of course, like this is what squirrels do. When they're injured, they're gonna like run in a hole, and you're gonna have to dig it out or leave it. And we didn't want to leave it, so we really worked to like get it out so we could go ahead and end it quickly. I think that's a valuable lesson with hunting, because when we go out there, it's never the intention to hurt an animal. It's always to end it as quickly as possible. You're not always going to be successful in that, but you need to try everything you can in order to do that. And so going out with someone who is experienced like Andrew, he wasn't afraid to as soon as we had our hands on that squirrel, we're able to get to it, to dispatch it really quick. And that was really great for me to see, because I think when you're so removed from the process of having to kill an animal like that, I didn't know what to do exactly. So it was good we had a friend with us to do that.
Here you go. Here's your trophy.
Cheers. Well, squirrel time.
It's back on the menu.
Appreciate you very much. The other squirrels that we got that day, Andrew shot both of them, and he, of course, took perfect, headshots. And it was exactly what you want, which is just shot and they fall right out of the tree, and they were already dead before they hit the ground, and that's what you want. So, we took it seriously, even with these like small animals. We're not messing around. I didn't know anything about how squirrel hunting is done. And so he was able to take us out and show us exactly how it works, and then also be there and help mentor us through the process of like breaking down a squirrel, which all of those lessons, like breaking, it was the first animal I had broken down, applies to any animal that you're going to break down. The process for skinning and gutting and all that stuff, it's all the same.
They're all so similar.
From animal to animal, yeah. So it was like a good mini experience as we built, toward bigger things. It's weird, like the meats that we've eaten now, because there's a lot of judgment
I know.
on those meats.
I know.
Like, most people would not eat a squirrel if you told them it was a squirrel.
Right.
But if they didn't know it was a squirrel, they wouldn't really be able to tell.
Yeah.
Because it just sort of tastes like pork.
Like, it seems like a backwoods hick thing, but squirrel, I believe squirrel tastes better than chicken. Like, if you cook that as chicken and fed it to someone as like pulled chicken, like you would make like a chicken sandwich, you would have no idea it's squirrel, and it's delicious.
So my sister insisted that we have good names for all of the recipes we make out of the weird animals. And so we wanted to make like fajita meat sort of out of the squirrel, which she dubbed as fasquita meat, if I'm not mistaken, fasquitas.
I love that.
So we made some fasquitas. Technically they were like carnitas because we cooked them and then fried them.
Right.
But we'll call them fasquitas.
Yeah.
And that was our first like foray into odd meats.
I think that was a good way to do it too, because when you're not used to eating wild game, it does taste a little bit different, or at least you have that idea in your head, and it's good to kind of put a lot of normal stuff on top of it to make it a little bit easier to eat at first.
It's hard to forget like that you're eating a squirrel.
Right.
And which is funny because we eat all kinds of other animals. I don't think about that animal the whole time I'm eating like a burger. I'm not like, oh, this is a cow, this is crazy, this is a cow. You don't think that at all. It's the same thing, to eat this smaller game. It's better in so many ways that we've already talked about, but it's hard to shake that thought from your mind. And every now and then you just think about like, that was a squirrel. That's weird.
Right. Well, you don't see all those other animals go from being an animal to being meat. And so it can be so removed. But when you see that whole process, it is really hard to forget it. And I think that eventually that's going to be a really great thing. There's going to be a lot of meaning behind everything that we eat.
The odd thing is we had kind of a similar experience in Texas as we did with our Wisconsin hunt. It just seems to happen to us. We're going after like a bigger game and we have an idea of how we want to go after it. And then we end up walking away with only small game. And so it was kind of the same thing as a trade-off. But I think that there's a good concept in that, which is like we're open once we're out there and we're hunting. If we can't go after one animal, we're not going to be opposed to going after another to bring home some meat. We went out to do wild hog hunting, and we learned a lot while we were out there. But the hurdle we really couldn't overcome was that despite the fact that we were on a large piece of land with lots of different features, we had zero evidence that hogs were really using this land.
Yeah.
And so
recently there was a lot of old evidence, old tracks, old digging areas, stuff like that, but nothing new.
Yeah. And you never know exactly what that's from, because we heard some reports that maybe neighbors had hired some hog removal services out there, and so has the population been brought down?
I don't know. It's kind of like the nature of hunting in some ways is like, you have no idea. They could just be wherever they want to be.
Yeah. I don't consider that experience that we had a failure, but beyond that, I just know that we're going to have lots of opportunities to do hog hunting here because it is so unrestricted and it's so welcomed, and we have lots of places to do it and lots of times through the year we can do it.
Right.
So we just got started. So we really put our attention on like surveying that land on a regular basis. Like we were out there constantly looking at our different areas that we were observing. We were out hiking new areas. We were just out there all the time trying to keep an eye on it.
Looking for new water features and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. We also had decided that we wanted to bait this time around to help increase our chances, and so we made some of that soured corn mix. We're going to try to make up a couple bait barrels from some advice we had on the internet. We're going to mix up some corn with beer and sugar and Kool-Aid and yeast and just let it sit in the sun and get really nasty and apparently really tasty if you are a pig.
We got grape, which is very important. Wow. That takes me back. That's good. Okay, how much do you think we should do?
Just a little bit. I haven't had a Keystone Light in a long time. Yeah. Pour one out for the homies, for all the hogs. And we were starting to put that out in various places as little testers. And I think the whole time we were there, we didn't get any hits from hogs on any of those bait places. We put those in the most prime hog potential spots.
Right.
Based on sign, based on the landscape, just no hits from hogs.
No hits. Looks like they didn't find it. The bucket is right where we left it.
However, we were getting a lot of raccoon hits, like non-stop. They loved this sour corn. They would come, they would steal our little containers we were putting this. They'd take the whole container.
Yeah.
They stole an entire mason jar one day because I didn't have anything else on me. I left a mason jar there. And they took the entire mason jar, which I would have assumed would be too heavy.
They got those little hands. They're they're good.
Yeah. So toward the end, we were like, you know what? I'm good with a raccoon. So I went out one night and set up and was waiting, and it's nice and late in the dark. I don't know, maybe an hour and a half into me being there, maybe even like half an hour into me being there, to come up and start eating on this bait. And now, here's the thing, I'm a pretty decent shot with that 22, but I think anybody can tell you, especially a less experienced hunter, that like your adrenaline gets jacked up in that moment. When you see like an animal, a live animal in that scope with the crosshairs on its head, it's intense. And so I went ahead and took that first shot, and they both ran off. And I was like, well, that's not a good sign since they're running away.
Right.
No blood at all. They completely ran away. I completely missed.
Yep.
So, I don't know, an hour and a half later, a third one, comes up, and I took what I thought was another really good shot, and it ran away. And I was like, okay. Luckily, a fourth one gave me a shot and came up, and I really took my time with this shot. Like, I really made sure I was right. I don't know, it just felt like I have to channel every little bit of focus I have into focusing exactly on this shot. You can't think about anything else at all. And that time, we got it. So I had a really good headshot. It was like right over its eye, I think, when we recovered it. Easily over 20 pounds.
Yeah.
Very heavy raccoon.
He was a big guy.
I didn't know raccoons were that big, to be honest.
I didn't either.
It's really heavy.
Yeah.
It's good and heavy.
Yeah.
And it was an older male. So I brought the raccoon back, and we proceeded to stay up until 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
Skinning, gutting, and quartering out this raccoon.
Yeah.
Which was a long process.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
It is very difficult. You don't realize how much skill and kind of nuance it takes to do something like that. I imagine it takes a long time to build up the speed and skills with that.
I think I could do it in half the time next time, though.
Just being familiar with the animal.
I was kind of nervous, if I'm being honest, to discuss publicly, like, eating a raccoon. But I think that's because people are so removed from what raccoons actually are, too. Like, they see the ones that eat their trash, and no, I'm also not interested in eating that raccoon, frankly, that's been living off of your processed food scraps. Like, the raccoon that we hunted is out there, out on a ranch, eating what a raccoon is supposed to eat, not eating weird stuff. And so it was a different experience. So the meat was actually like really clean. I liked what we did with the squirrels, going like with a Mexican kind of taste there. But I wanted to do something different. And we were in Kansas City at the time. And so we were like, let's do a barbecue raccoon. Or as my sister would call it, a barbacoon. Is the name for that one. And like most of this game, a smaller game, you just basically you pressure cook it to get it cooked through, And then in this case, we like roasted it for a little while longer to give a nice slow cook. The meat is totally falling off the bones. You shred it up, you add whatever sauce you want to it. In this case, we just added like a local barbecue sauce that was really good.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're just eating barbecue sandwiches. If you had handed that sandwich to me, I'd have been like, this is really good barbecue. And I wouldn't have asked this, another question about it. So it was really tasty. I liked it better than the squirrel. I thought it was a better tasting meat. And you get so much more for how much work you put in.
Yeah, I thought the raccoon was surprisingly not gamey. I didn't expect that.
Of course, we wanted not only the meat, but also the fur as well, which is fantastic and like the softest, warmest thing ever. So I fleshed out the fur, and we, dried it and treated it. I learned a lot during that process. I could do it so much better the second time. I was okay with my first attempt being like a Boy Scout's first try at like a fur craft, right? So I'm all good with how it turned out. But we did end up making like a really nice coonskin cap that I'm really proud of. And so it feels like we were able to use more of that animal even than the squirrels. And now I know a little bit more about fur processing and tanning and, even sort of the sewing it all together and making something. In doing that, you realize like, wow, if I was out here on my own and winter's coming and you go get a fur-bearing animal, you need to make some clothes out of it. And you could do that. It's not even all that hard to make kind of a sloppy hat in any survival situation. It was a really cool learning experience.
I think it's a cool hat too.
It is a cool hat. I'm very proud of it, yeah.
And it didn't feel like a big letdown or anything.
No. Nope. None of it.
Plus we have the validation from my uncle's neighbors that say, oh yeah, we haven't really been seeing any hogs either.
Yeah. They aren't in that area.
No, not at the moment.
But they will be at some point.
Yep, because they were before. They'll be back sometime.
When we were first getting into hunting, obviously for a lot of new hunters, like Meat Eater was a really good, and a learning tool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like to watch a great hunter like Stephen Ranella show you what he's doing and how he's thinking about things. And I think one thing we took away was an interest in being versatile with our hunting. And that versatility has come into play twice for us now, which is that we're not so fixated on one hunting experience that we're open to some other ones. And so while these may be odd animals to go after, it was really nice to go to Wisconsin and not leave completely empty-handed because we were open to going and trying something else. And we learned so much in doing that. And in going to Texas, not being so upset that the hogs wouldn't come onto the property. We did everything we could for that, and the only animal we could attract was just raccoons, and there were a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so we were able to take advantage of that situation too and become more versatile as hunters. I think because we've been open to other game, we have learned a lot more about the broader impact of hunting, and that I've really enjoyed.